You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this is kind of interesting. Guess who did not show up for the Atlanta Falcons? One Kirk Cousins. That's right. Captain Kirk himself did not show up for the Atlanta Falcons. OTAs is starting. We know he really and truly does not want to be the backup. He wants to go somewhere and start. Now, the problem is where that would be now, I don't know. I think the most obvious destination seems to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. The other one would be the Saints, but they're in division. I think that's I'm gonna be honest. I think they would be all over Kirk Cousins if they could get him. But they're not gonna be able to get Kirk Cousins from their rival, their hated rival, I would assume. Unless the Falcons, if you don't believe in Kirk Cousins, then you would assume he's Donovan McNabb and the Eagles traded him to the Redskins. So let him go. Trade him to the damn Saints. All right? Kirk Cousins is one of the strangest situations I can remember in some time, and I'm going to tell you why. We got a couple of things. We got not only him not showing up, but the fact that once again a story has come out today, he is clearly the backup plan to Aaron Rodgers with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right? They're thinking Kirk Cousins. And so maybe that's why there's not a lot of panic with the Steelers. Maybe they've got this Kirk Cousins thing. This is it. Like, this is the plan. If Rodgers doesn't come, boom, they're trading for Kirk Cousins, and they got a starting quarterback. Makes some sense. What doesn't make sense is the downfall. All right? So I decided to do some digging because I was sitting around, I was like, this fall off by Kirk Cousins doesn't make a lot of sense. So I went back and looked. Through 9 games last year, Kirk Cousins had 17 touchdowns and 7 picks. He had a winning record. All right? And then all of a sudden, boom, week 10, he fell off a cliff, threw almost no touchdowns and almost all interceptions, and he got benched. It's one of the strangest declines I can ever remember, and I'm thinking, well, you would think if he was injured or something, that would have emerged by now. Was it Achilles tendon related? Was there some weakness? I mean, are we trying to buy that in a matter of 1 week, he all of a sudden aged from 35 to 72? It doesn't make a lot of, it's one of the weirdest. He was on pace for 34 touchdowns and only like 12 interceptions. One of his best seasons, actually, when all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff. And I've said before, there's part of me that wonders if he's not the better option for the Steelers, because you got to think, Mike Tomlin, heavy run game. We're going to matriculate the ball down the field. Kirk Cousins, highly accurate. He was still 67% last year. Highly accurate. If it works, then you've got Kirk Cousins for more than just 1 year. He's 36. Aaron Rodgers is 41. So you could potentially have Kirk Cousins for 2 to 3 years if he bounces back and does the things you want him to do. All the while, Will Howard is elevating his game. I still don't understand what happened here with Cousins. I don't believe he just aged out that quick. I don't. The problem with Cousins is he doesn't have the strongest arm. So it's strange. I still believe, was he injured? Did he have a shoulder injury, a labrum injury, something that, and why hasn't that emerged? Because it would make him look better. Well, that's why he had to fall off. Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins has participated in aspects of the team's voluntary offseason program. But as the club begins OTA practices on Tuesday, Kirk Cousins is not in the building. Quote, I did not see him today. Head coach Raheem Morris said during his Tuesday press conference, he did not show up in the meetings, so I did not see him today. Cousins, 36, does hold a no-trade clause, but it stands to reason that he'd like to be elsewhere. He's due $27.5 million in 2025 with a $40 million cap number. If the Falcons trade him after June 1, they'll get significant cap relief. Okay. That all right, we'll get back to that in a minute. The Falcons reportedly would like the new team to assume $20 million of the remaining $37.5 million in guarantees, though GM Terry Fontenot, who's a total joke, has denied that specific number has been applied to negotiations. All right, so that's where that stands. In case you're wondering, PFF, he was the 23rd ranked quarterback for the 2024 season. All right, so that leads us over there. He is the plan B. It's it. All right. Cousins, at the very least, is on the Steelers' radar. Well, it goes a lot further than that, according to Jeremy Fowler. In a plan B scenario, could be needed if free agent Rodgers decides to retire or if he doesn't make up his mind before brass owner Art Rooney II, general manager Omar Khan, and Mike Tomlin, the head coach, runs out of patience. So, Aaron Rodgers is plan A. Kirk Cousins could be a viable plan B. This is what really tells you. After making some calls today, I do believe he's been on the radar. If something were to fall through with Rodgers, certainly they could reconvene, call Atlanta, and see if they could shake something out. But right now, Rodgers is their guy. Unless they don't want to do it over the money, I think that tells you the Steelers are in on Kirk Cousins. And it really explains why there doesn't seem to be a lot of panic from a lot of people are like, why aren't they just doing that? Why are they letting Rodgers blah blah blah? Well, if the whole time they're sitting back going, well, if he doesn't come, we're just going to trade for Kirk Cousins, then it makes a ton of sense. All right? Again, one could argue maybe Kirk Cousins is a better option. You know, and I like Rodgers. The difference between Rodgers and Cousins, in my opinion, is two things. One's a pro, one's a con. The pro is Kirk Cousins, a lot younger. The con, Kirk Cousins doesn't have as strong an arm as Aaron Rodgers right now, despite being 5 years younger. Aaron Rodgers still has a bazooka. Kirk Cousins has got an average arm. And when a quarterback has an average arm and they're aging, that is a concern. Because can he make the throws? And maybe he did just get old all of a sudden. It happened to Matt Ryan. Although there's some talk that Matt Ryan might come back at some point. I don't know. You would have thought, I mean, Matt Hasselbeck hung around forever. He didn't have a rocket. It was okay, but tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. If you're a Steelers fan, do you want either one of them? I can understand either one, but there's a part of me that's sort of Kirk Cousins here. I like Kirk Cousins. I'll be the first to tell you I believe the Redskins fucked up royally getting rid of him to begin with. All right? And you may be like, yeah, but he's never had a huge playoff run, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but he's gotten to the playoffs. And, by the way, until last year, the Redskins quarterback situation has been a dumpster fire ever since they let Cousins walk to begin with. They could have, in theory, had a decade of solid quarterback play. No. And in the NFC East, which is I mean, I understand. Yeah, it's been, the Eagles are up. There could have been wins to be had there. Just how you look at things. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.